What if I told you that most of your stress, hesitation, and self-doubt doesn't actually come from your own mind, but from the invisible weight of other people's opinions? Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from saying what you truly wanted to say because you were afraid of being judged? How often have you changed your behavior, your clothes, even your dreams, just because you were worried about what someone else might think? It's exhausting, isn't it? And yet, most people live their entire lives shackled to the perceptions of others, never realizing that this prison is one they could escape at any moment. Caring too much about what people think is one of the most silent forms of self-sabotage. It's the invisible leash that keeps you from running freely. It's the unspoken cage that looks invisible but feels very real. But here's the truth. You are not here to perform for the world. You are not here to bend your soul to the opinions of strangers. You are here to live, to breathe, to create, and to stand in your own authenticity. And the sooner you stop caring what people think, the sooner you unlock a level of freedom that most never dare to touch. Let's start with something obvious but rarely acknowledged. People are far too busy with their own lives to think about you as much as you imagine. This sounds harsh, but it's liberating. When you walk into a room, you may feel like all eyes are on you, scanning and judging. In reality, most people are too wrapped up in their own insecurities, their own worries, and their own stories to notice yours. And even if they do notice, their thoughts vanish almost instantly, replaced by the noise of their own concerns. Realizing this truth cuts the chains. You are not the main character in everyone else's mind. You are only the main character in yours. The second truth is even more powerful. Judgment is unavoidable. No matter what you do, people will form opinions. If you try to please everyone, you'll drown in contradictions, because what pleases one person will inevitably irritate another. If you try to stay neutral, someone will still dislike you for being too quiet, too passive, or too distant. If you stand up boldly, others will resent your strength. There is no escape from being judged, so the only logical move is to stop trying to control it. Instead, choose to control yourself, your actions, your choices, your path. That is where true freedom lies. But how do you actually stop caring? It's one thing to hear these truths and nod, but another thing entirely to live them. The first step is to recognize the voice inside your head that isn't truly yours. That anxious whisper that says, "What will they think?" is not your authentic self. It's a voice trained by years of conditioning. School, society, family, and peers all leave behind echoes, and those echoes replay every time you consider stepping out of line. The key is to question that voice. Each time it arises, ask yourself, who taught me to think this way? Whose voice is this really? You'll find that most of the time, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to a world that tried to mold you into something safe and acceptable. The second step is to test the waters of discomfort. Freedom isn't achieved by thinking differently alone. It's achieved by acting differently. Try small experiments, where something you truly like, even if you think it's unusual. Say the opinion you've been holding back. Share an idea that feels risky. At first, your heart will race, and the fear of judgment will loom like a shadow. But then something miraculous happens. You'll notice that the world doesn't end. People might shrug, some might smile, and some might not care at all. Each time you face that discomfort, the power of other people's opinions shrinks. What was once a roaring lion becomes nothing more than a whisper in the background. Another essential step is to anchor yourself in your values. When you don't know who you are, other people's opinions become a compass you blindly follow. But when you define your values clearly, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you are willing to live and die by, then opinions lose their grip. Why? Because you have something stronger guiding you. If kindness is your value, you will act kindly even if others mock you. If truth is your value, you will speak honestly even if others roll their eyes. If freedom is your value, you will walk your path even if others whisper. Values are the armor that makes outside judgment irrelevant. And then there is the ultimate realization. You only get one life. One. Every moment you waste twisting yourself into someone else's version of acceptable is a moment of your own authenticity slipping away forever. Imagine being on your deathbed, reflecting on a life spent silencing your true self because of strangers' opinions. That's the tragedy you must avoid. Better to be disliked for who you truly are than loved for a mask you wore to please the crowd. They will always have an opinion, no matter what you do. If you rise, some will resent you. If you stumble, some will laugh. If you stay silent, some will criticize your quietness. And if you speak boldly, others will call you arrogant. You cannot escape the reality that people are wired to judge, but you can escape the trap of basing your worth on those judgments. Freedom begins the moment you stop negotiating your life with the imagined courtroom of others' minds. There is an old saying, "What other people think of you is none of your business." At first glance, it sounds harsh, but it is a gift. It reminds you that the opinions of others exist in a world you do not control, a world shaped by their experiences, wounds, and insecurities. When someone calls you selfish, often it reflects their unmet needs, not your character. When someone calls you strange, it reflects the narrowness of their worldview, not the depth of yours. Realizing this gives you the power to detach, to understand that most judgments say more about the speaker than the target. Think of the time you have lost worrying about whispers and shadows. Every moment you replayed someone's words in your mind, every sleepless night wondering if you were accepted, every hesitation to act authentically because you feared being labeled. All of this is a theft of your energy, and you are the one handing the thief the keys. Imagine what you could build if that energy were reclaimed. Imagine the art unwritten, the risks untaken, the love unspoken, all because of the invisible chains of other people's opinions. Today, those chains can be broken. One of the most effective ways to stop caring is to confront the fear beneath it. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid will happen if someone disapproves of me? Will the world end if a coworker thinks you are odd? Will your value disappear if a stranger calls you boring? In most cases, the answer is no. The fear is not about survival, but about rejection. And rejection, though painful, is not fatal. In fact, rejection often clears the space for more aligned connections and opportunities. When you accept this, the fear loses its bite. Here is a truth you must hold on to. Those who truly matter in your life will not be pushed away by your authenticity. The ones who vanish because you showed your real self were never meant to stay. Your circle may shrink, but it will also deepen. Quality replaces quantity. Authenticity repels the superficial and attracts the genuine. And in that shift, you stop caring about external approval because the approval you have is rooted in trust, respect, and truth. Another powerful step is to practice radical self-compassion. Many times, we care too much about what others think because we lack inner kindness toward ourselves. If you are harsh within, the criticism of others cuts deeper. But when you nurture a voice of compassion, external voices fade. Self-compassion is not indulgence, it is armor. When you stumble, you tell yourself, I am learning. When you feel judged, you remind yourself, I am worthy. When you are misunderstood, you whisper, I am still whole. This practice builds resilience, and resilience makes you unshakable. Let me ask you this. Who would you be if you no longer carried the weight of constant judgment? What dreams would you finally chase? What conversations would you finally have? What part of your personality would you finally allow to shine without apology? That person exists already within you, waiting for permission to step into the light. The only barrier is your concern about what others might think. And once that concern is dismantled, you are free. Remember also that people think about you far less than you imagine. This truth can be liberating. You may spend hours analyzing how you looked, what you said, or how you behaved, assuming others are doing the same. But in reality, most people are lost in their own worries, their own insecurities, their own storms. You are not the center of their world, just as they are not the center of yours. Realizing this can dissolve the illusion of constant scrutiny. Life is too short to live on borrowed opinions. At the end of your life, It will not be the critics you regret listening to, but the moments you silenced yourself because of them. The times you held back, dimmed your light, or abandoned your path in the hope of avoiding disapproval. True regret is not what people thought of you. It is what you failed to do because you cared too much. So, let today mark a turning point. Stop seeking validation in the shifting sands of external opinion and build it on the bedrock of your own values. Live in alignment with what you know is right for you. Chase the life that excites your soul, not the one that pleases the crowd. When you live this way, you inspire others to do the same, because courage is contagious. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever held yourself back because you cared too much about what people thought? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to know how this message resonates with you. Remember, your worth is not in their words. It is in your truth. Walk boldly, live authentically, and protect your inner freedom at all costs. And if this message inspired you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content that empowers your mind and spirit.